Daniel Cormier came out with some tremendous advice, some very, very helpful advice for Dana White as it pertains to Dana getting Khabib to come back. And Daniel Cormier said, and Daniel's his coach, he's a friend of Khabib, knows him very well, knows the business, knows what it takes as an athlete. You know, Daniel could really personalize that. And Daniel Cormier said for Dana to stay after him. That was the advice. The advice is done. If you're waiting for that was the advice. Stay after him. Daniel, that's not helpful. Do you have inside information? Have you spoke to Khabib? Do you know what it's going to take to get Khabib back? Because it doesn't appear to be money. I mean, I think we've all understood that about Khabib. At least we believe that to be true. Like, that's just not what makes him tick. Okay. Well, what commodity is he after? Is it attention? Khabib would strike. That would surprise me, but I can't rule it out. Maybe he just wants to be asked over and over again. Maybe Daniel's right. Hey, just stay out. Keep asking him. Keep calling him. He's enjoying this. I don't know. I'm in a different place. I'm in the place of we just got to respect his wishes. Right? Everybody's going to go at some point. Nobody goes out at the right point. You have George St. Pierre, you have Lennox Lewis. Who else from combat? Who else from combat went out at the right time on their own terms, right? Khabib. And it's always a tough one to accept. We always seem to know better about somebody else's retirement than that person knows. And generally, it's not that they go too early. Hey, he's got more left. Hey, he's in his prime. Hey, he's still dominant. It's generally not that. It's generally, hey, dude, your prime and your best days are done. How do you not see it? Stop doing this, right? I mean, usually it goes that way. The reason I want us to accept Khabib's retirement, because we got to move on with that division. That's the part of it. For me, that's where I get it. If you hold up the boys with a dream, if you hold up the Charles Oliveira's, the Michael Chandlers, the Dustin Poirier, right? I mean, it's tough. And Dana, for whatever reason, did say at one point that he would not interim championship 155 while he's dealing with Khabib. That's, hey, we're going to keep that belt on Khabib because I think we've got a dialogue and somewhere we're going to go, or we're going to take that belt off Khabib and they'll fight for the undisputed. But somewhere along the way, Dana did make the comment that he's not going to interim it. And as I'm looking at Poirier versus Conor, you know, that fight already worked and there was no title on the line, but it just seems as though that's the one. That's the one to get everything back on track. That's the one that should be for the championship. Even if you disagree with that, that's not the hill I want to die on here. That isn't my overwhelming point. My overwhelming point is when you have the Chandlers that are coming up, when you have the Oliveras who are coming up, when you have the Justin Gaethje who's coming back, Kevin Lee coming back, but wait, 155, it's a very special weight. And it would seem as though, because if you don't know when we're going to take the belt off Khabib, it has other problems. Even if you don't want to put the belt up to Poirier Conor. Okay, but you also can't identify a number one contenders match. If we're not going to put the belt up for Poirier and Conor, can we identify that the winner of that is going to fight for the belt somewhere in 2021? No, we cannot if we're still playing this purgatory game with Khabib. And I got to tell you, when you have true competitors, it's not about the money. It's not about the fame. It's not about the eyeballs. When you have true competitors, it is about the competition. It is about trying to get as high as you can get, which in this sport is the belt, which is why it's important that we hear Khabib, understand Khabib, and accept what it is Khabib told us. In my opinion, I'm just watching some of those guys. You know, Michael Chandler went through a lot. He never gets the credit. And Michael Chandler was with a different organization and did not want to leave. He took a risk. He then, in the middle of a pandemic, flies to Abu Dhabi. Now, I'm talking about right after he signed a contract. I'm talking about him being the fill-in fighter for Gaethje and Khabib. So Chandler gets on a plane, comes right back home. Whole training camp away from his family. I realize nobody's going to cry in their beer for Chandler, but there is a level that you have to appreciate what he's gone through. Goes back, does it again, steps in with Dan Hooker, who can beat his ass, by the way. I mean, that's a hard night. Dan Hooker, that's a hard night out. Chandler is one of those guys that is really showing a sacrifice. Oliveira, I pick on Oliveira all the time. You know what Oliveira's done? 8 fights in a row, worked his way up of undercards, went out there against Tony Ferguson and won. I mean, come on, this is a grit. These guys are competitors. They got to have something to be able to compete for. It's a motivation factor. Daniel Cormier's advice, stay after him. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much.